this being your third season, it seems like you've been a lot more assertive or spicy this year.
Spicy? So? I don't know. It's spicy. That's good. I mean, I feel like for me, it's just my approach. It's just coming in and just trying to be dominant in anything the team needs. And so if that gives off spicy, which I really don't think it does, I feel like I'm like kind of quiet.
Spice?
No, I just know it's spicy. Huh? But yeah, I feel like that's just been my mindset, is just coming in and just being the player that I need to be for us. Whatever that looks like, it looks like.
Okay, this is wild. What do a locker room mantra, a bruising blowout, and a playoff berth all have in common? For the Indiana Fever, it's absolutely everything. Their 94-65 win over the Washington Mystics wasn't just some ordinary victory, it was raw survival and pure defiance rolled into one incredible moment. And right there, in the middle of it all, Aaliyah Boston dropped a line that has her teammates buzzing and fans absolutely demanding to know more. What exactly did she say? And why is it this specific mindset that's carrying Indiana into the playoffs without their superstar Caitlin Clark, plus 4 other injured players? Seriously, stick around, because this is so much more than just basketball. If you're hyped for the playoffs, then right now, comment Fever Playoffs, let's go.
Playoffs! Dubs!
How we clinch, baby!
We can't! W. Playoffs! Bow, bow, bow! Yeah! Playoffs, baby!
Mitchell in transition, lays that up and in for our first bucket of the game. Well, that's Sims off the cross again into the paint, lays it up and in.
So, how does a playoff-bound team lose half its entire rotation and still somehow find a way to survive? Well, that's literally the story of the Indiana Fever this season. Their roster didn't just take a hit, it was completely gutted. Caitlin Clark, the sophomore sensation who was supposed to usher in a new era for this team, was lost after only 13 games with a torn groin. Sophie Cunningham, gone with a knee injury. Chloe Bibby, done with a knee injury. Sydney Colson, sidelined. Ari McDonald, finished with a foot injury. That's 5 huge names, 5 critical contributors, all cut from the picture. And when that many core players disappear, most teams just crash and burn. But for Indiana, this became their ultimate test.
When you think back to the beginning of the season, if someone were to tell you, like, this is where you would be, and this is your team, like, at the end of the season, like, genuinely, what do you think your reaction would be?
Probably no stinking way. I don't think, thinking back to the beginning of the season, that anyone would have ever foreseen it going like this.
You see, Clark's injury delivered the heaviest blow by far. She was averaging over 16 points, setting up plays and establishing a standard that had Fever fans truly believing the postseason wasn't just possible, but practically expected. So when the announcement came down that she was out for the season, you could literally feel the shockwave ripple not just through Indiana, but across the entire basketball world. Fans who had been packing Gainbridge Fieldhouse were left scratching their heads, asking how this team could possibly keep pace without their biggest star. And what happened? Analysts lined up, practically tripping over themselves to declare that the Fever's playoff dreams were officially dead.
Even if things looked like it got harder, for us it was about sticking together. And I think through everything, you're able to see that. Us play with joy, us play together, regardless of who's on that floor.
And it wasn't just Clark. The constant rotation of hardship signings made Indiana look less like a stable roster and more like a moving train that people were just trying to jump onto. Seriously, 18 different players have suited up at some point this season. Imagine taking a team photo at the start of the year, then halfway through, realizing almost every single face in that picture has been replaced. Odyssey Sims flying in, Shea Petty stepping into huge minutes, Aerial Powers carving out a new role. This wasn't strategy as much as pure survival, and honestly, survival doesn't usually end in a playoff push.
For whatever reason, things happen, and you've got to continue to put your best foot forward. You got to continue to stay the course. This group has been forced to grow strong roots, and teams can go one of two ways when those things happen. You either use it to pull you together and as motivation to continue to get better and do it for one another and do it for your teammates that have been lost to injury, or it pulls some teams apart.
But here's where Stephanie White's leadership truly made the difference. Even with her roster completely wiped out, she didn't hit any panic buttons. Instead, she simplified the system, streamlined rotations, and got her players laser focused on the absolute fundamentals. White even admitted the staff had to think way outside the box to maximize every single player they had. She knew glossing over this adversity would be a massive mistake, so instead, she leaned into it hard, constantly reminding her group just how tough they were, both physically and mentally, and guess what? The players followed her lead.
When I look at this group, I'm just so incredibly thankful for the type of people that we have in this locker room, for the way that they have been able to continue to stay the course and bounce back and stay together, to pull for one another, to really be flexible enough to make space for different types of teams that we've had throughout the course of the year, and to continue to put ourselves in position.
Then by August, those gnawing doubts gave way to something else entirely: pure resilience. What was supposed to be the absolute downfall of this team actually became its secret weapon. No superstar to lean on? No problem. Every single woman on that roster learned how to shoulder the weight. That next woman up mantra, which started as a desperate necessity, organically transformed into their core identity. And once they carried that mindset into Washington, the toughness that had been forced on them all season finally exploded into absolute dominance.
Inside Howard, off the window, the bucket, and the foul. Petty three, knocks it down again. Lost the handle, gets it back, gets right to the hoop, and she drops it home.
Fever 94, Mystics 65. Indiana's in. And now you know, despite all the adversity, this incredibly resilient Fever team is going back to the playoffs in 2025.
Okay, so how exactly do you turn heartbreak into a 29-point demolition? Well, the Indiana Fever found that exact answer on the road against the Washington Mystics, and it came in the form of a win so commanding it felt less like a basketball game, and more like a crystal clear message to the entire league. This wasn't just any win, folks. It was the one that clinched their return to the playoffs, proving that even without Caitlin Clark, this team has far more than just one engine powering it forward. Now, the game certainly didn't look like a blowout in the opening half. Washington came out strong, forcing Indiana into tough looks and trading buckets to keep things incredibly tight. The Fever's offense wasn't clicking early, and honestly, if you were watching, you could absolutely feel a bit of that nervous tension in the air. The Mystics had momentum, and with Clark, Cunningham, McDonald, Bibby, and Colson all sidelined, the question was very real. Could Indiana hold its ground, or would this just be another one of those nights that simply slips away?
And more than anything, y'all, big picture-wise, this group, there would have been so many teams that would have folded with all the we've been through. And we just kept getting better, and we kept getting tougher, and we kept becoming more resilient, and we kept figuring things out, right? Like, we've had like 7 new teams throughout the course of this season. and no matter what, we've been flexible, we've been accountable, we've put each other in positions to be successful, and we've continued to put one foot forward and stayed the course.
But by halftime, even though it was competitive, the tone completely flipped when the third quarter finally rolled around. The Fever just locked down defensively in a way that didn't just slow Washington, it completely smothered them. Get this. The Mystics managed only 9 points in that entire frame. 9. That's not just a cold streak, that's nearly total shutdown basketball. Every passing lane felt disrupted, every matchup contested, and suddenly, Indiana looked like the hungrier team on both ends. From there, the lead just ballooned, climbing past 20, then past 25, and eventually stretching to a ridiculous 33-point gap at its peak.
You just don't know what she's going to do. I mean, she's so crafty with her shot decisions.
Howard right to the hoop, high out the window.
She's slicing through that paint.
Thanks for back tapping. It ends up with aerial power. Inside Howard, off the window, the bucket, and the foul by the rookie all-star Sonia Citron. Howard quickly back to the right line, back at 34.
The numbers certainly told a story, but the individual plays told the rest, with Natasha Howard stepping up exactly when Indiana needed her most, pouring in a game-high 17 points and punishing Washington every single chance she got near the rim.
Dolson had to stay home because she had an occupied side in terms of a cutter in her area. She stayed. Petty three, knocks it down again. Flip it. He's just such a solid stabilizer for Washington. Howard right to the hoop, lays it up and in. Fourth foul on Austin. Boston down low. Double tongue, drops back to Howard, who lays it up and in.
Then Aaliyah Boston brought her steady dominance again, finishing with yet another double-double, 12 points and 11 rebounds, giving Indiana absolute control of the paint on both ends of the floor.
So Craves in there, get off and get loose. Mitchell three off the mark, long rebound ends up with Sims. It's Sims, nice pocket pass. Boston foul line jumper.
And just when it seemed like the Fever would need even more scoring to truly put the game away, Aerial Powers surged off the bench with 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, looking like the ultimate spark plug that simply refused to let the team's energy dip.
Austin got that rebound. Here's Powers. Lost the handle, gets it back, gets right to the hoop. There she drops it home. 8 on the shot clock here for Citron. So free screen that. And then they got the switch they want. Oh, couldn't get it in. Tough turnover there for Washington. The loose ball collected by Dolson as Citron brings it over half. Powers in the passing lane. No one to beat. Lays it up and in. See if they can get back to that and connect plays with stat possessions with that level of effectiveness.
But the contributions didn't stop there. Lexi Hull was absolutely all over the floor, diving for loose balls, relentlessly hassling ball handlers, and turning defense into critical transition chances.
Of finishing plays. Here's Hull, guarded by Citron. Hanging, fading, kicks off the glass. My goodness. Be better served. Maybe 4 out, 1 in, and have him take turns with it. Oh. Clips them 3.
And Shea Petty gave them absolutely flawless shooting, going 3 for 3 from deep and ending with 13 points, proving that literally every role player who checked into the game walked out having left their distinct mark.
Sims is also back for the Fever. Here's Petty in the corner. He knocks it down.
Even on an off-shooting night, Kelsey Mitchell still found ways to chip in 10 points and steady the backcourt. When you looked at the box score afterward, 5 different Fever players had hit double figures. That kind of balance isn't common in the WNBA, but it was exactly what the circumstances demanded.
Thanks to Alicia Clark and Jade Seamless with the philosophy and culture and playing with joy as being the top tier point of emphasis there. Mitchell in transition. Lays that up and in for our first bucket of the game.
Statistically, the turnover battle completely sealed Washington's fate. The Mystics coughed the ball up 22 times, and Indiana turned those mistakes into 27 crucial points. The Fever, on the other hand, only gave it away 6 times all night, which meant Washington never ever had a chance to swing momentum back. It wasn't just that Indiana outscored them, it was the way they drained every ounce of hope from the Mystics by capitalizing on nearly every single mistake.
I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, we owned them in the second half. Hell yeah!
27 total points, we had that in 2.
Through in the second half. 27 points off of turnovers. Hell yeah! And we took care of it. Only 7 turnovers for us. A complete team effort, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures. I mean, it was just all really good stuff. Really good stuff.
So, who does this team turn to now that their biggest star is watching from the sidelines in street clothes? That answer is seriously starting to take shape, and while it's not just one name, one player has absolutely risen to embody the new heartbeat of this team, Aaliyah Boston. She's been front and center, and what she said after the win just showed exactly why she might be the anchor this group needs more than ever. What was the one locker room mantra that had teammates buzzing and fans clapping? You only needed to listen to Aaliyah Boston after that playoff clinching win in Washington. She didn't just play big, she spoke big, and her words hit just as hard as her rebound.
Aliyah, just through the adversity that you guys went through this season, especially maybe in August when people were going down left and right, did you guys feel like
this was always possible to make the playoffs? Did you ever have moments of concern or doubt? And what allowed you guys to just keep, the eyes on the prize more or less?
Yeah, I think, just being someone in this locker room, you never doubt yourself and what you're capable of, no matter what happens. I think the entire staff, up to the head, just made great decisions when people went down on who to bring in, the type of people to bring in. And that was really our mindset. We never doubted ourselves. We never doubted that we could be in the playoffs. Even if things looked like it got harder, for us, it was about sticking together. And I think through everything, you're able to see that, us play with joy, us play together, regardless of who's on that floor.
Boston has always been known for her polish and her incredible poise, but what she's doing this season is something else entirely. Against the Mystics, she posted yet another double-double, her 17th of the year, which actually broke the franchise record. To put that in perspective, she's now stacked 41 career double-doubles in just 2 seasons. That consistency is seriously impressive on its own, but in a year where the roster looked like a shuffleboard of injuries, her production became the team's absolute lifeline. She finished that game with 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, leading the team in plus-minus at an incredible plus 29. On the surface, those are just numbers, but on the court, it directly meant the Fever played their absolute best basketball whenever she was in the game.
Likes to get into their offense. You see Jade Melvin getting that defensive assignment on Mitchell. She picked her up pretty much 3/4 court. Boston baseline jumper falls. That's the advantage with Mitchell guarding her. 11-0 run right now for Washington. Boston got that baseline, misses, gets her own, and finish it.
Without Clark, this wasn't just about replacing scoring. Anyone can look for extra points. Boston had to become the team's absolute backbone, the steady pulse that kept the heartbeat alive. She chased down missed shots, anchored the paint against Washington's drives, and moved the ball with quick, decisive passes that got her teammates easy looks. She wasn't only the center in position, she actually became the center of the Fever's entire identity.
And how would you describe the locker room after the game today, just being able to sell it?
We didn't make a TikTok, so I think everyone is just super excited. Like you said, it hasn't been a perfect road. And so for us, it's enjoying the little moments while at the same time understanding we have another game on Tuesday and then we have to prepare for the playoffs. But I think just being in the moment and being where our feet are and kind of just enjoying this one.
Picture the atmosphere in that locker room after such a massive blowout. Everyone's dripping sweat, still totally wired from the high of a playoff clinching win. Teammates are huddled, laughing, relieved, but also pretty emotional because of how incredibly hard the road had been. Caitlin Clark is watching from the sidelines. Sophie, Ari, Chloe, and Sydney are all stuck in recovery. But here's Boston, gathering the team with words as strong as her stat line. She told her teammates, "Never doubt yourself and what you're capable of." And that wasn't just talk. You could actually see how they played like they truly believed it. Lexi Hull diving on the floor for every possession, Shea Petty lighting it up from deep, aerial powers coming off the bench like instant firepower. That mantra became the invisible hand, pushing them forward. Fans felt it too, echoing her words across social media afterward. Suddenly, it wasn't just Boston's reminder, it was a rallying cry. Don't you dare doubt what this team can do, even when the odds scream otherwise.
Got a piece of glass for the finish there. Boston seal inside, comes right back for the finish.
But her influence goes even further than the box score in just one speech, though a younger team might completely lose focus after celebrating something as huge as their first playoff appearance since 2016. But when Boston was asked about the mood in the locker room afterward, she actually said with a laugh, "Well, we did make a TikTok," before quickly shifting right back into leader mode. She explained that everyone was super excited, but then immediately reminded the group that the job wasn't finished, stressing that the next game in the playoffs still required serious preparation. That unique combination of joy and business is incredibly rare. It perfectly showed how she can balance the pure fun of the moment with the undeniable seriousness of the grind. Aaliyah Boston is truly proving she's more than just a rising star. She's the voice, the anchor, and the steadying presence this team needs. If Caitlin Clark is the spark that turns heads and gets everyone talking, Boston is the foundational concrete that holds the entire house together. And as the Fever march into the postseason, that toughness, that unwavering belief she instills, isn't just for this week, it's actively shaping a culture that could absolutely last for years to come. But here's the question no one's really asking: what if Indiana's season of devastating injuries was actually the best thing that could have happened to them? From the outside looking in, it undeniably felt like a disaster. 5 players lost to season-ending injuries, their superstar sidelined, and a roster that looked different nearly every single week. Yet, here they are, a 7th seed locked in, celebrating their first back-to-back playoff appearances since 2015 and 2016, and they still even have a chance to climb up to 6 depending on how these final results shake out.
And we ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. Okay, we got another one on Tuesday, and in the playoffs, ain't nobody gonna want to see us. Nobody. No one is gonna want to see us. That's right. Nobody. I'm not gonna sing it, but yes. So we continue to focus on competing to the standard, preparing to the standard. All right, and then we scare the hell out of this league. Hell yeah. Come on. Here we go. Hell yeah. 3, 1, 2, 3. Hell yeah.
Let's be real. The reality isn't easy. The Fever's likely round 1 matchups are absolutely brutal. Atlanta, Las Vegas, or Phoenix. All 3 are incredibly dangerous teams, and the best-of-3 format means 2 of those games are going to be on the road. Heading into playoff basketball, without their top scorer would normally feel like a death sentence. But the truth is, the Fever have already shown they can compete with each of those teams. They've not only taken games off them in the regular season, but they've done it with that exact same short-handed rotation we see right now. And for fans in Indiana, the part that hits different is what's coming back to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The Fever are guaranteed at least 1 home playoff game, the first since that's nearly a decade since postseason basketball was played in Indianapolis, and it's happening because this roster learned how to win collectively. They just showed against Washington that 5 different players can get into double figures on any given night. That offensive balance makes them unpredictable, way harder to scout, and far less reliant on just one face to carry the entire burden.
I feel proud. I feel proud of these women, and what they've been able to continue to do. I feel proud that we continue to raise the standard for ourselves and for one another. But I'm also, I look at this group and the roots that have been grown throughout the course of this season, and thinking about, not just where we are now and the opportunity that we have in the playoffs, but where we're going to be in the future.
Think about it. Across this season, 18 different players suited up in a Fever jersey. That revolving door actually ended up forging a roster that can plug anyone into big minutes without missing a beat. Lexi Hull and Shea Petty stepped into roles nobody ever expected them to. Natasha Howard and Ariel Powers provided invaluable veteran stability. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston now own playoff experience as top options, not just supporting pieces. In a way, Caitlin Clark's absence actually opened the door for her teammates to grow into much bigger roles. And when she does return in 2026, she's walking into a locker room that will already have championship DNA. The story completely flipped. The injuries everybody thought would derail Indiana instead built a playoff-ready group that honestly looks more dangerous now than it did when it was fully healthy. This season tested the Fever in ways no one, not even them, expected. Injuries stripped them down, but what was left wasn't weakness. It was pure grit, incredible depth, and unwavering belief. For the first time since 2015, Indiana has a winning record and a playoff berth. This is undeniable proof that the identity forged under all that pressure is absolutely real. Fans should see this as the start of a brand new chapter, not just some survival story. The postseason is here, the momentum is undeniably real, and the foundation is stronger than ever. And it truly begs one big question: if this is what they can do with half a roster, what on earth happens when they're whole again? So, if you're fired up for the playoffs, make sure you comment Fever Playoffs, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Then click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.